In this quick tutorial, we're going to look at a way to paint vertex maps on an object as a means to mix shaders using Arnold's aiMixShader node. So here we've got a situation where we have a sphere and we can have these two shaders, this red AI standard surface and this green AI standard surface going into a mixed shader, and you can see they're being mixed on the surface here. What's determining the mix is something called vertex colors and the color set assigned to this model. Now this is different than the maybe more traditional way of doing something like this, where we would use the UV editor, and if we select this object, you can see it's got a nice clean UV map. So this is probably the easier way to do something like this. You can use an aiMixShader node with two materials going into it, and then use something like a mask with a ramp that would show how to mix these two things based on the UV space. However, there are some instances where you may have a complex model that you don't want to UV map because nobody likes UV mapping, for one thing, or it might just be difficult to UV map. Or you might want to transition between two shaders that would kind of go over the seam of a traditional UV map. So by painting the vertex colors and making a mask in black and white, for example, it allows us to have a little more flexibility in painting how these two materials will mix together. So there are some important parts of the construction here. We're using Arnold for one thing. You can probably do this in Redshift too, but I don't know how to do it yet, but it is possible, I'm sure. But we're using an aiMixShader node, and we're using this other node called an aiUserDataColor. And this just holds information that's drawn from elsewhere, and we're going to connect it to the vertex color set that's associated with this model. Okay, so let's rebuild this from scratch. It's not hard to do, but it can be a little finicky. There are a few things you have to remember to do along the way. So let's just get rid of all of this. We'll create a new sphere. I'm going to scale it up, and I'll just smooth it a little bit. The reason I'm going to smooth it is because we're actually painting the vertex colors. So the only thing that can hold color here are the vertices, and because it's a low resolution model, it'll be kind of a clunky painting. So we're just going to shift right click and smooth this a couple of times. Now this isn't necessary, but this might more closely reflect a more real world scenario. You've got maybe a scanned model that you don't want to UV map, but you want to paint different textures or different regions with different shaders on them. Okay, so there we go. I've deleted the history and frozen the transformations. Just hide our render view for a second. This is a new object, so it will have the OpenPBR shader assigned to it. This is in Maya 2026. And the reason I mention this is that not all shaders can show the vertex painting. This one does, so we're going to do the vertex painting while this is on. Later on, we're going to add the aiMixShader onto the surface of this, and it won't show the vertex painting unless we go into the render. So just to make that clear. So the first thing we want to do is go to Mesh Display and open the Color Set Editor. You can see it's blank, and I have this object selected because there is no color set associated with this yet. I'm just going to say New, create a new one, just leave it at the default and apply and close. And the default name is Color Set Bracket RGBA, close bracket. It's important to note that the name of the color set is color set here. The bracket RGBA, close bracket, is not part of the name. You can rename this however you want, but just know it's only the first part that's important when we use this name later on with the aiUserDataColor node. Okay, so we're just going to add some color to the vertices now. We'll do it in a very simple way. We'll go to Mesh Display, Vertex Colors, and there's an Apply Color option here. And if I go and reset my settings, it's set to replace the color, and I'll just change that to black and apply color, and it turns this black. Now, you may find that it doesn't turn black when you do this. And the first thing you want to check is that you're using something that can show these colors, like the OpenPBR or a Lambert or something like this. If you have an AI standard surface, it might not show it. If you have a aiMixShader, probably won't show it. But the other thing to check is to go into the shape node of this object and scroll up, under Mesh Component Display, and make sure Display Colors is turned on. This can also be turned on and off by going to Mesh Display, Toggle Display Color Attribute, and it will turn that on and off there too. So you can still see it's turned on here in the shape node, but you can turn it on and off here as well. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is paint some of this white. So we'll go to Mesh Display, under Vertex Colors, Paint Vertex Color tool, and we can set the operation to replace, set the color value to white, and then it'll show a brush on the surface, this red circle. If we hold down B and left mouse drag, we can change the size of our brush, and then we can just paint over the surface, and you can see what it's doing. So because it's only painting the vertices, that's why we get this sort of rough sawtooth edge, because this one is painted, but these other ones are not painted. So we're just getting black there and getting kind of a rough fall off. So there are ways to smooth this, even with a low res model like this, but I'll show you that in a second. So now we've painted the vertex map. So the vertex colors have been painted. Some of them are black, some of them are white. Now we have to use this information in a shader to say, okay, in the black area, put this shader. In the white area, put another shader. So that's what we're going to build now. Again, we're using Arnold for this. So in the hypershade, I'm just going to hit Tab and search for aiMixShader. I'm going to create that. And then we have to have two shaders to mix with it. And so I'll create an AI standard surface. And I'll just duplicate this one, Command D on the Mac. It opens it up wide open here, so I can just click on this to make it smaller. Let's just give these names to make it clearer. I'm going to make this one red matte, and this one will be green matte. So we'll just go into the attribute editor. So we'll make this one red, as you can imagine. I'll make this one green. So these are going to attach to our aiMixShader node here. We'll put the red one into the shader 1 attribute. We'll put the green one into the shader 2 attribute. So we just have to connect the out color of the shader. So drag that over. Just open that up so we can see the out color, and just drag that over. So the next thing I'm going to do is apply this aiMixShader onto the object. And when I do that, then this painting will disappear. Now, the information is still there. It just can't show on the surface when we have the aiMixShader put on here. So I'm going to middle mouse drag that on there, and we'll get something like this. If we click on the object, we can still see we have this color set associated with it. Now, if I just render what we have now, you can see that we're getting a mix of both of these shaders, right? Because it's got the red and green, and in Maya, when you mix red and green, you get yellow. And it's just set to blend with a mix weight of 0.5. So if I scrub this mix weight over to this side at 0, we get red. If I scrub it over to this side at 1, we get green. So in Maya, 1 is white, 0 is black. So that black and white vertex map, we're going to use to drive this mix weight. So the way we do this is add another node called an aiUserDataColor node. And we can connect the out color to the mix. Now we can't connect the whole out color to the mix because mix is a single channel. So it's just got one value. Whereas out color has three values. It's got R, G, and B. So we can just connect the R to this. It's a black and white image. So now this looks like because I connected R to it, it turned red. But the R has got the black and white values in it. Just a coincidence that it's red. If I change my red material to a different color, to blue, then it's going to take in that color. So just don't be fooled by that, but it can get a little bit confusing. But what we're not seeing though is that white cross here should be revealing our green material. And why is it not? Well, two reasons. First one is the aiUserDataColor doesn't know to use that color set. So remember, if I click on this, we can see that our color set is called color set in this case. So we can go to the aiUserDataColor node and type that in. Color, the American spelling with no U, and then set. And in this case, it's got a capital S. You have to make sure the spelling and the capitalization is exactly right. So now we render, still nothing happens. Maybe we're looking at the wrong side of it. Nope, there's no green showing through. We can go to render, update full scene. Still not showing anything. There's one thing we still have to do. We click on the object itself, and down here in the shape node under Arnold, under export, we have to make sure export vertex colors is turned on. And then hopefully when we do this, we'll see that. Maybe we've got to update the full scene. Yeah, and there we have that coming through. So the UserDataColor is sort of a conduit or a pipeline that takes the vertex color data and brings it into your shader network. So we can still change this, right? So if we select this object and go to our Paint Vertex color tool setting, if I still replace with white and I paint here, nothing seems to be happening in our render, but if we update the full scene, now you can see that it's actually got that information. If I go and paint with black and update the full scene, then you can see that black streak I just put through there is changing the vertex colors, and black, remember, is showing shader 1. I could also go to, in the Paint Vertex Color tool, go to Smooth rather than Replace, and just flood smooth it a few times. If I update my render, now you can see it's softening that edge there because it's going from white to black and then smoothing the values, and you're getting mid-grays in there. Really, that's all there is to it. It's not that hard to set up, but it can be a little bit finicky if you forget to do anything, any of these little things. And I'm just going to remind you that probably the most important one is in the shape node of the object, make sure you've got export vertex colors turned on under Arnold, export vertex colors. And also that the aiUserDataColor node has the exact name of the color set that you're using. And oops. In this case, it's just called color set. And those have to match exactly. But this is a pretty convenient way to be able to mix two different shaders without having to resort to UV mapping. And even if you do resort to UV mapping, this actually might provide a better solution to blend over a UV seam because it ignores UVs. It just looks at the vertex colors to do this. So give it a try, and hopefully it'll help solve a problem that you're having with your visualization in Maya. Thanks.